Maybe one would be more of like an emotional, like, is your kid's life slipping away and you're missing it? Here's how to here's how to change that. Here's how to change all that. Like, that'd be a great headline. All of that. So what I'm actually going to do is tell you what I would do differently if I was starting a site called Father Apprentice all over again. This is a site that I created, and it's been going strong for a long time. This is what I would do if I were starting it right now. So first of all, I choose a very simple framework, probably Squarespace or Thesis, just something that I could get real quick. I want to have a site up as fast as possible, make it easy for me to make all of my little changes and edits to quickly and dirty. I could do all of that coding stuff myself even. I could make my own thing, but I wouldn't. I don't want to spend that much time doing it. What I really want to do is just get a site up. So I would use either Squarespace or Thesis to do so. So then I do some thinking about my clarity of purpose, right? I've done a lot of thought about this in the past. I've also done the Defining Your Audience course, like you should have by now. And so what I would do is I would actually niche down more so than it is currently from just being a dad or a new dad to the working new dad. Because one of the things that's been very challenging for me has been that whole work, family, life balance thing. And it's something that I think my hunch is that a lot of guys struggle with that. So I'm going to target that sort of pain and desire as my clarity of purpose. So the first thing I would do would actually be to create a handful of headlines around that clarity of purpose. I think there's a few angles here that I could probably come up with, and then I would want to run tests to see which one actually gets the best results. So maybe one angle would be more of like a tips and tricks option, like, hey, here's the best tips and tricks for getting for maximizing your work-family balance, or something like that, right? Or maybe one would be more of like an emotional, like, is your kid's life slipping away and you're missing it? Here's how to change that. Here's how to change all that. Like, that'd be a great headline. All of that. Or maybe one would focus more on the marriage with kids, the kids thing as a side note, because the marriage can be like such a big factor in life. I don't know, are you married? So I'd pick a handful of these options. I'd make headlines that I'd want to test right there on the home page, right at the very top, big, bold, as few words as possible so that it can be as big as possible. I would test a handful of these up top. So I'd pick some headlines to test, but then also in that area, I would probably have a picture of me. I think that would humanize me to a visitor. I try to make it though, like not just like not just one of a headshot of me. I want to make it very me. I want to make it very Chase, So somehow I work with a photographer to create something like that, so that people can see a little bit of, if this is my point of view coming through. I think pictures are great at that. I think, especially if they're not competing with a bunch of other pictures on the page, a great picture of you as the founder, if it's really if that's central to the business, at least up front on this one, it would be for me. My voice, my tone of, my point of view would be central to it. So I'd get a great picture of me to put up there. Okay, so at this point, I've got a handful of headlines to test. They're all very simple, black text on white background, little picture of me, couple lines of text, big green button. And in the big green button, it'd be something like I'm in, or like, tell me more, or something like that. Something generic that would work for all of these, because I want to use the same. I'd want to try to keep all these variables the same as possible while I'm testing just that headline. Now that big green button would take them simply to the About page. No need to do something fancy here, okay? It would land on the About page where I totally nail this story. The pain, the desire, how I resonate with it, my own story that hopefully they will see themselves in, right? I would just, in as short amount of space as possible, really nail that this is an issue, this is a problem, you're not alone, I felt it too, there's many of us out there. And then I would have an email an email capture or whatever, a place for them to say, yes, I want to know more about this. I want to be a part of what you're doing here, okay? So what I would be doing is I'm testing clicks from the headline, and then from that click, how I'm also testing how many people say, you know what, this is me. So I like this because it's really easy to give a click. And it's a whole other step to give your email and stuff. So it'll help me get some realistic sense of, if I have 100 people that land on this page, how many people end up getting to clicks and how many people end up getting to actually giving an email. Now, because I have taken the Productivity Essentials Fizzle course, I've been using Evernote to keep track of a lot of different ideas that I've had about this subject and things like that. I've also kept track of a lot of any little sites that I came out, or any big sites that I came across that my audience might also be at. Places like Art of Manliness, or Huckleberry, even men's stores and things like that. I've also, because I've taken the Connecting with Anyone course, I've put a value on meeting people, being where they're going to be, and actually, taking the steps of getting to know them. And I've got a few people with audiences that I have met, right? So what I'm going to do now is cross-reference this list of sites that work for my audience, that my audience might already be at: Art of Manliness, Huckleberry, Everlane, all these types of things. Find ways that I can do a guest post or somehow get there, right? And then also, with all of the people that I've met using the Connect with Anyone stuff, how can I write something for their audience using all of this other list over here of all these ideas, all these insights, all these tips and tricks that I've been discovering over time, okay? I would try to cross-reference it, match these up, and then I'd go to someone like Donald Miller, who runs the Storyline blog, and I'd say, hey, listen, I know your audience is into X, Y, and Z. I think my angle on this story with how becoming a dad did W, Z, and X for me, I think it would be really relevant to your audience. Would be interested in me putting that together for a guest post. I would do that kind of thing for all of these things. And by the way, this is the work now. This is the hard work of actually writing great stuff. Yeah, I've got these lists and there's tips and tricks to I've kept track of these. That's a good tip. But the hard work is making something that goes on that one of those big sites, and that the person there reading that site says dude, yeah, totally. Me too. What is this? Who wrote this? This is great. I totally feel that. You know what I mean? I want to create that experience, and that is rarely easy. Every once in a while it is easy because you've really had a moment, but most of the time it's hard freaking work. This is the hard work. Okay, so now these guest posts, hopefully, if it all worked out, right, they're sending traffic to my site. I don't have to go buy anything or focus on some keyword or do all this other crap that I really don't understand. I just target audiences that are specific to my audience, or target sites that are specific to my audience. And I co-op a relationship there to see if there's more interest in what's going on over here, right? So then I've got traffic coming in, and I can test these headlines now with some traffic and see what's working best. And what I would do then is essentially pick the one that works best over the course of a handful of weeks, right? Hopefully the numbers are statistically significant in terms of how many people have been there and who's clicked and who hasn't and all this other stuff, right? I would just pick the one that works best, and if there's a tie, I would pick whichever one I like most out of the winning ones. And I would brainstorm a bunch of ideas around that topic. So for example, if the tips and tricks the tips and tricks headline won, then I would brainstorm a bunch about tips and tricks, types of things that I could write at my site. And I would talk to friends. I would talk to, do searches. I would research. I would find books on this sort of thing. And I would get a bunch of these ideas, and I'd pick the 10 or 15 best ones over the course of a week or whatever. Those are the ones that I'm going to focus on. Those are the ones that I'm going to write over the next handful of months or weeks. I'm going to write those 10, 15 posts, make them really great. Okay, so now I've honed in on this problem. I've written 10 to 15 posts. Each one of these is valuable. These are value. I haven't cornered the market. I haven't written everything about this topic, but I've written 10 to 15 valuable things, right? Things that I feel comfortable giving to someone, saying no, hey, you need this, right? So I can package those together in a single ebook. I hate the word ebook, but I would put them into a document and make some sort of a handbook or something like that maybe I could sell for $4 on my website. And of course, if I use Squarespace, then selling something is all built in. So that'd be very easy to do. And maybe I take the first few chapters, and I make those 3 chapters my giveaway when someone signs up for to be a part of of Father Apprentice. You see where this is going now? Like, I have something to sell, I have something to give. So now I've got some content on my site. I've got a book to sell, a book to give away. I've got a reason for people to join up because they see I'm creating value directly related to this problem that they have. So what I would do is I would add a sidebar with a subscriber, an email capture thing that says, hey, you got to join up if this is the kind of thing you struggle with, because we're learning new things about it all the time, writing more things about it. And when you sign up, you'll get the first 3 chapters of the book for free. Then just below that, I would create an advertisement for the book sort of thing, which would then, when you click that, you're just landing on a resource page up top saying, hey, here's the book, yada, yada, yada. What's the best thing we know about X, Y, and Z? Like, if you're struggling with this stuff, you got to get it. It's $4, right? And then just below that, like, here's a handful of the best topics the best posts that we've written about these topics. But again, all of these have been revised and updated in the book, right? Get the book. And if you sign up here, we'll give you the first 3 chapters for free if you're skeptical. And then what I do is I actually add that box at the end of, when you're on a single blog post page, at the end of that blog post, I would say as well, like, hey, if you're struggling with this sort of stuff, this is exactly what we're about. Subscribe, enter your email to be a part of the crew, and get the first 3 chapters of the book for free. So now what I would also do is go to the home page and update that to have the similar call to action for the book, for the joining the crew, right? So now I've got the home page, I've got the about page, I've got the resources page, I've got each blog post and the sidebar, all with the very same call to action, with the very same story that's reinforcing to every visitor that lands there, like, hey, this is what we're talking about here. This is the value that we're creating. If you have these sorts of challenges, if this is something that matters to you, you found the right spot. Join up. And my navigation at this point is just 2 pages, home and about. Home, which I've got my big feature box and the blog posts or whatever, and then about, where I'm nailing that story and doing that stuff that we talked about. When they land on, they'll find the resources page on every page in the sidebar, the little advertisement for the book, and they're not going to miss that because there's almost nothing else in the sidebar besides the subscriber call to action and the resources advertisement. Because I started out with a sort of research and discovery point of view, because I was looking at them and not me, I was able to relatively simply and relatively confidently create something of real value, something useful, something that you could put a price tag on and that people would land on and be like, yeah, you know what, I need this. How much does it cost? And then what I do, and again, this is just me talking, but I would go look for speaking opportunities to spread the message, spread the word, get more people to the site, to become seen as more of an expert in this thing. And frankly, because this is a challenge that I personally resonate with very hard, I'd want to go out there and spread it to as many people as possible. So what I would do is I'd be collecting testimonials from people who are buying the book, what they think about it, people on the site, etc. And I would approach, people from any conference that I can get. Well, not any conference, but a lot of different kinds of conferences. I could be as a web business guy. I could go do the web business conferences. As a dad, there's dad conferences or fatherhood conferences type things. As a guy who focuses on working dads, there's business conferences where this could be a panel or something like that there, right? So I would find these people who organize these things, and I would I'd go to them with testimonials, with the fact that, like, hey, I have an impact, I have a message, I have an audience that loves what I'm doing, and this would hopefully get me in the door to be a speaker there. I'd look for publicity. I'd look for interviews that I could do, partnerships that I could have with other bloggers or other media sources. I'd look for any way that I could to get this message out there. And then after a little while of that, with all of this data and feedback and results from selling the previous book, all the testimonials and all this other stuff, I would update it. I would give it a big 2.0 sort of thing where I would update the book, maybe have a video accompanying thing, and maybe the video thing ends up being the thing you buy. The book is the add-on, or something like that. I'd charge more for it, make it more of a $40, $50, $100, I don't know. It depends on what would be inside of it, right? But now I'd have a real product based on real research and discovery, based on real feedback, based on really what is valuable and what isn't to these people. And I could shamelessly go out there and say, hey, listen, this will help you with this will help you with that. I don't have a sales problem anymore. I just have a communication problem because I know I've heard from them that this is effective. So I would make a 2.0 of the product. Which, of course, then I'd go right back to more publicity, more speaking, more casting a wider net, trying to get as many eyeballs to this thing as possible because I know it's valuable. And do you see now how this is kind of like it's just a job at this point? Just running out, getting publicity, doing all of this stuff, updating the product, running out, getting publicity, doing all this stuff, updating the product. This is just a job. But I kind of think everything turns into a job at some point. And so it's a good thing that I see this is valuable the people are like, dude, thank you saved my life. I mean, even at Father Apprentice now, I get people who say that. And I resonate with the story so much. I care so much about it because I know what it feels like to be in those trenches. So if it wasn't for those two things, at this point, I'm just like, what's the point? You know what I mean? But everything does kind of turn into a job. Raising a cattle, fishing, basket weaving. Why should writing ebooks be any different? I hope you liked the video. You can get the checklist of the 14 steps to this blog strategy at fzzl.co/blog14. And you could watch some of our other videos. Yet, so many of us end up making this mistake. Here's what our businesses sound like when we make this mistake.